Hi, everyone. This is Granny Dot. Good to be back with you again. We're about to begin Chapter 3 of Steinbeck's Ghost. Here we go. All day Friday at school, Travis started out. Actually, he stared out the window, but no one seemed to notice. He couldn't stop thinking about the library. How good it was to be back there, and he was amazed at how those books just seemed to fall into his lap. It was weird to realize, too, that the library seemed more of a home to him than his old house. There was a new family in that house. It wasn't his anymore, but the library still was. In Mrs. Lammy's Spanish class, last period, Travis kept going back in his mind, that is, to the boy in the window at the Steinbeck house. For some reason, the spookiest piece of yesterday's puzzle. Whenever the image of the boy came to him, a teenager in suspenders in front of the window, Travis got the strange sensation that the answer was too easy to miss. But it was just some teenager in a window, and it wasn't even that late at night. What was so weird about that? At one point, he thought, oh, I know. I'm in some scary book now, and that's Steinbeck's ghost calling to me. Out loud, he actually did this out loud. He couldn't believe it. He made the spooky movie ghost noise while everyone else was quietly studying irregular verbs. Oh, wee-oo. Everyone turned to look at him as if he'd farted. Just great. He'd never make more friends if he kept this up. That afternoon, Travis hung out at Hill's again. After last night, it would be a relief to play video games. Knock off a few badgers. The badgers always gave him the fits. He could never nail them. But over sodas and cookies in the kitchen, Travis surprised himself by asking Hill if he'd ever read A Wrinkle in Time. Hill had. It was one of his favorites all time. Weird, Hill said, and now he made the spooky movie ghost noise, the exact same one. Ooh, ee-oo. I just started reading it again last night. Went to the mall with my mom and bought a new copy. It's awesome. So Travis dropped the word camazotz on Hill and told him about Bella Linda Terrace being like camazotz. And Hill totally got it. They talked about the name Bella Linda Terrace, and Travis showed him that it actually didn't mean anything at all. And Hill got that too. The street names, dude, Hill said. Talk about weird. You live on Harbor Mist, right? You see a harbor? You see mist? No. And Grand Junction? And Merrimack? Too weird. The streets should have names like lettuce and artichoke and kale, all the stuff that grows around here. And this street? Serendipity. What does that mean? It means, Travis said, I know what it means. It's like a coincidence or something. But what does it mean for a street name? You're right, man. This place is weird. Now you know why I stay inside so much. Thank God for the pool. They took their sodas to the front porch and stared at the quiet, empty, and way too bright streets. It was hot again, and the afternoon wind was up and strong, but it felt good to be outside. They spent the rest of the afternoon dreaming up a video game called Camazotz. In this world, everything was gray and brown and blue, very dark, but perfect. The houses, the children, their games, all the same. Just like the book. The heroes of the game, excuse me, the heroes of the game, naturally, were two 13-year-old boys, each dressed in outrageous and colorful t-shirts and big, goofy hats. They wandered through Camazotz with their plink plunkers and plink plunked the houses and children and balls, trying to locate hidden passages that led to cool and colorful and exciting worlds. There was a hidden world under every boring house. They sketched 5 levels of the game: an underwater world, an inside out world, a backward world, a world without gravity, and a world in which dogs were the masters. And they each shot soda out their nose countless times from laughing. They didn't play a single minute of a real video game. It was the best afternoon with Hill since school had started. Travis's parents knew they'd screwed up big time. When they came home at 10 on Thursday night, Travis, already in bed and reading, he could hear how sorry they were by the way they rushed up the stairs together, then opened his door slowly and quietly. They smiled big, fake, soft smiles. Travis stared at them. "We're sorry, kiddo," his dad said. He sat on the edge of the bed and ruffled Travis' hair. "We should have called, we know. We should have told you we'd be late. I know, totally unfair, but I was in this big emergency meeting, and your mom had this killer report to do, so she just stayed, and, well." "That's right, honey," his mom said. She leaned over his dad's shoulder. "We're really, really sorry." It was like being in the hospital. His parents were doctors, telling him he had an incurable disease. "We know it's been crazy lately," his dad said, patting the bed, "and we haven't been around as much, and, well, and, Travis said. It was the meanest question he had ever asked anyone. "And tomorrow," his mom said, "tomorrow everything's clear, the slate is clean. Your dad and I will be home by 6, won't we? And we'll go to Sheila's for burgers. We haven't been there in ages. And this weekend we'll all hang out together. Hey, let's spend the day at the pool on Saturday. Won't it be great?" "Okay," Travis said. He said this with a little sulk in his voice. He was enjoying making his parents pay, and he certainly wasn't going to tell them where he'd been while they were out. "But you promise Sheila's and the pool too?" "Absolutely," his father said. That's my kiddo. Now you get some sleep. His parents said nothing about the library books scattered on his bed. On Friday night, as promised, they went to Sheila's, a funky bar and restaurant in Old Town, where Travis's dad had been a bartender before his new job. The burgers at Sheila's were the best, and the French fries were simply unexplainable. They were so good. French fries from another planet. Sheila, the owner, made Travis a Roy Rogers with 5 cherries on a plastic sword. His usual, Sheila called it. And even though Travis thought it was a little kid's drink, he still loved it. Some things shouldn't change. Travis and his parents used to eat dinner here every Sunday night. Always burgers and fries. And everyone at Sheila's was happy to see them. Saturday at the pool started out great. It was warm. Excuse me. I must take a little short break. I shall be right back. Hi, I'm back. Sorry about that, but the dogs were calling me. So here we go again. Saturday at the pool started out great. It was warm, but not as hot as it had been that week. A thin layer of feathery clouds softened the sky, and the wind didn't come up in the afternoon. They took a picnic lunch and the newspaper and some books, almost like the old days at the library, but mostly they swam and dived and slid down the slide. Maybe it was the clouds, but hardly anyone else was at the pool. Travis kept a lookout for Hill, but he never showed up, which was okay, Travis decided. He was more than happy to hang out with his parents again, just the 3 of them. But in the afternoon, his parents began to drift away. His mother went back to the house to start dinner, and his father begged off more pool time and lay down under the big oak tree. Travis swam and swam. He felt like he could live in the pool. At one point, for no real reason, he looked over at his father. His father was sitting up and holding his blackberry, poking it with a tiny stylus. Travis watched for a long time while his father stared at the tiny computer. His face didn't move at all, and Travis couldn't tell what his father was feeling or thinking. He always used to be able to read his father, no matter what his mood. But right now, his father didn't look happy or sad or angry or interested or bored. He just stared. Before the new jobs in the new house, life had been different at home. It seemed like their house was always full. His dad was there playing music or helping Travis with his homework or just goofing around. His mom, too, who always came home right after her day of teaching 3rd grade. Mostly, everyone was home together, doing life stuff, which is what his family called the ordinary events of their lives. His dad worked at Sheila's a few nights a week, and sometimes he had gigs with the Not Band on weekends, and his mom occasionally had meetings at night, but the house was never empty. Even after his parents went back to college a few years ago, they were still around all the time. They had their regular jobs and homework, but they were home. Everyone was together. Then they finished their degrees, got new jobs at the same software company in Gilroy, and moved to Bella Linda Terrace. Travis was really starting to hate their new life. It confused him. All that work to get new jobs, to make more money, to buy a big house, and they were never in that new house. His parents told Travis they knew these changes were hard on him. But he was a big kid now, they said, and could take care of himself. He knew he could take care of himself, but he didn't have to like it. His father owned 4 guitars, 2 keyboards, a herd of harmonicas, and tambourines, and other instruments to bang on, bongos, congas, egg shakers, as well as tape decks, speakers, microphones. All this equipment sat in the new garage, unpacked, pushed into one corner. Now there was only the BlackBerry. It had stolen his father's brain. His father set down the BlackBerry and called Travis out of the pool. Time to go. The house was filled with the scent of his mom's spaghetti sauce and garlic bread, but she wasn't in the kitchen. Travis called out, but she didn't answer. She was in her office. He stood outside the office door and listened to the keys of the computer madly clacking. Well, Sunday was okay. In the morning, they went shopping at the big mall north of town. It was a pants expedition. One of the funny ways Travis's family shopped. One piece of clothing at a time. Shirts, or shoes, or underwear. They shopped like this for years. Today it was pants. And for some reason, they all found the word pants, even the very idea of pants, funny. They ate lunch at Rotten Roger's Crab Hut, a cheesy chain place, and they all thought that was pretty funny too. In the afternoon, they went to the pool again, which was much more crowded today. Even Hill was there, and he and Travis played Camazot's Zombies, stiff-armed and brick-stepping up the high dive. When Hill and his family left, Travis and his parents sat under the biggest of the scraggly oak trees around the pool, and they all read quietly together. His parents were starting to look relaxed. Through the branches of the oak, the sky was still feathery white clouds. Travis loved this tree, its gnarled, zigzaggy branches. If you could freeze lightning, he thought, it would look like this tree. It was so comfortable there on the lawn under the tree, pool splashes echoing, his parents pretending to read but dozing, that Travis almost told them everything. You know, he said, he wanted to tell them everything about Camazotz, about the old house, how he'd gone to Salinas on his bike, and the library, and Gitano, and the boy in the window. But he stopped himself. Maybe there were too many things to talk about, any one of them. He shut quietly the part of him that wanted to talk about all of this. It felt like closing the cover of an opened book. Yes, Travis, his mom said after a moment. What were you going to say? Just, that I really like this tree. And then Monday was school, and school was school, and Hilario was Hill, and everything was the same. But Travis's problem today was having a little too much time to stare out the window. And every time he did, he was drawn back to everything that had happened since last Thursday. None of what had happened would let him go. Something important had changed. But that wasn't the end of the story. This story, whatever it was just beginning. And he was determined to follow it. So when he woke up on Tuesday, he knew he was going back to Old Town. He had to see the library again and the Steinbeck house, wanted to look for Gaetano. Too much had happened for Travis to ignore it. How could he possibly do his homework? He shouldn't leave the house. He knew that. And it did worry him that he was going to do it. But he went anyway. Down Natividad, over the highway, into downtown, the afternoon wind up again under a clear, hot sky, pushing against him as if trying to stop him. Downtown, he turned right instead of left, and it scooted through the parking lot of the National Steinbeck Center. It was a modern building, glass and rough brick. Travis always enjoyed the annual field trip. Yes, his class went every year, as every student in every class in Salinas went every year. But that didn't mean it wasn't cool. You'd think a museum devoted to a writer would be nothing but books and blank paper and a desk, maybe a pen. What else was there to a writer's life? But the National Steinbeck Center wasn't so much about the man who wrote the books as about the books themselves. Steinbeck's best known novels had been turned into rooms, big rooms, with high black ceilings, one room for each book. You stepped into the book, a lettuce-packed rail car from east of Eden, and the rusted boiler used as an apartment in Cannery Row, and Sweet Thursday, the ranch hand's bunkhouse of mice and men. Travis had been many times, and the rooms were pretty much the same now, as when he started in first grade, but it was always fun walking into these books. He kept on and pulled up in front of the Steinbeck house. An old woman in a long white apron was sweeping the front porch. Otherwise, everything at the house was still. Travis looked to the attic window. It was dark. There was no one there. He lowered his bike and went up the walk. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said. "Are you open at night?" The woman stopped sweeping and leaned against one of the porch's pillars. Under her apron, she wore a red Victorian era dress. "No, I'm sorry. We only serve lunch. Close at 3. No dinners." "Oh, I see. Thank you." Travis stared at the front door. "Anything else?" the woman asked. "But someone stays here at night, right?" "Lord, no. But funny you should ask. Just today I was thinking about a customer we had a few years back. Strange little man. Wanted to spend the night here. Offered us quite a bit of money, too. Big Steinbeck fan. I had to say no. I told him, and this is the truth. No one spent the night here in over 30 years. Since we opened the restaurant, our insurance doesn't allow it. Told him we were pretty sure the house was haunted. Should have seen his face, white as a sheet." The woman laughed and slapped her knee. "Oh, okay. Well, thank you." "You're welcome, young man. Come back for lunch soon." Travis sped off to the library. The man who called himself Gitano wasn't there. Travis felt that if he could see him again, he'd be able to figure out why Gitano seemed so real and yet so out of place at the same time. He poked around in the trees by the mural of old Salinas. Maybe Gitano was sleeping back there. He stepped closer to the mural and leaned into it, squinting. In the background of the sepia tone painting of Main Street 100 years ago, among the tiny horses and carriages at the far end of the street, walked a figure in a serape and an old straw hat. The man in the straw hat was leading a horse, headed out of Salinas and into the hills. It could almost have been Gitano, but Travis was pretty sure Gitano didn't have a horse. As he went into the library, he felt a pull of disappointment that the boy in the window and Gitano weren't around. But that didn't matter much. He was here. He had some questions for Miss Bab, questions he knew she could help him answer. Over the weekend, he'd been reading Steinbeck's The Pastures of Heaven and Ernest Elster's Corral de Tierra. He knew the two books were about the same place, the same hidden valley, even though he'd read Corral de Tierra a gazillion times. He only had a general idea of where it was. He and his parents had gone there a few times when he was really small, but if he had any memory of those trips, they were overshadowed by the corral in Ulster's book. He knew it was off Highway 68 on the road to Monterey, and in his mind he could see the stoplight at the intersection of Corral de Tierra Road. What he wanted to know was, could you get there on a bike? Miss Bab was working on the floor of the picture book shelves in the kids section, which looked as though Triumphant Weasel and his pals had come through the library, but it was probably just a preschool class. Miss Bab stood up fast. "Oh, Mr. Williams," she said, smoothing her long skirt, "I'm so glad you're here. I was hoping you'd come back." Travis had to smile. "Have you heard?" she asked him. She seemed excited, but not in a happy way. "We're closing." "But it's not even 5," he said, and the minute he said it, he knew he'd said the wrong thing. "Oh, no, Mr. Williams." Miss Bab put her hand on his shoulder. "We're open until 9 tonight." "No, the library is closing. Forever. For good." Travis had no idea what to say. He had no idea if he could say anything. "We found out today. The city announced it a few hours ago. We'll be closed by next March unless something happens." Miss Bab stared past Travis, through the window, past anything that might actually be out there. "But somebody has to do something," Travis said. "Yes, somebody does." "Good. Are they going to do it?" he asked. "I don't know, Mr. Williams. Are you?" And we will read on to chapter 4 next time. See you then.